Hi, this is Pete Ekman with RoboZone Podcast. Man, am I tired. There is such a thing as a robot hangover after an event. With that, let's get to some introductions. Anthony, please introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Anthony Uriarte. I'm the drive coach of 2075 Enigma Robotics.
Now, Anthony, fun fact for everyone that's going to watch this, came running to me after my last match, and I thought he was going to shake my hand, and he bear hugged me. And I thought that was kind of
Yep.
awesome. That's not happened too many times in my 10 years of mentoring Anthony, but we'll get to that. But you said you're from Enigma, right? So
Yep.
tell me how the weekend went for you.
It had a lot of ups and downs, that's for sure. But it was really exciting in the end. In the end, we were able to secure the first seed alliance thanks to your help, and then go on to take on the Blue Banner for the third time in a row. So we got the hat trick at East Kentwood High School.
So congratulations on that. And Tech Vikes were with you. It was Tech Vikes, and who's the third partner?
Shelbyville
Okay.
High School, 10654.
Okay.
Awesome group of kids.
Yeah, congratulations to them. You guys steamrolled the competition, set the record in the state for playoff points. I think it was, I can't remember the number though.
Yeah, we hit 230 in eliminations, and then the day before in qualifications with us and Tech Vikes, we put up 253.
So it was destined to be, as we say.
It
So
was definitely something we were hoping for.
congratulations, John. You're on your way to states. Now let's go let's go back in time. I don't know if you've ever seen Back to the Future. One of
I am
my
old enough.
favorite movies. Well, I don't know how old you are. I'm not going to ask you, Anthony.
Fair enough.
But take us back to kickoff, right? What did you think about Reefscape right when it was released?
I mean, my first reaction was it's a beautiful game. The game design committee did an awesome job incorporating a lot of great elements of what Reefscape is meant to be. I think there's a lot of awesome opportunities for teams of all sizes and caliber to really succeed and do well in the program this year. And I love the introduction of a 6 RP match. It really threw a lot of loops into what a team could do, accomplish, and definitely put a big emphasis on what strategy you need to play into this game. Uh, our immediate, kick was we're gonna have to score a lot of coral. We're gonna be able to manipulate algae, and everything kind of moved from there. It was a lot of ups and downs as far as taking our strategy into the robots. And by the time the robot actually hit the field at Muskegon, it had gone through about 3 iterations of what we were actually going to try to produce. So it was a really struggling season for us with a lot of ups and downs. We had some loss of a couple seniors last year, and thankfully, we had a lot of great people joining the team this year coming in as freshmen. We had a couple of eighth graders that put a lot of effort into helping us out as well, and a lot of great new parents that were able to show up, put a lot of hands in, a lot of long nights, a lot of long weekends, and come up with something we're really happy about.
Now, Enigma is one of those teams, and that not just because I have you here, but one of those teams that I really, truly respect. You guys are very consistent each year. You're very respectful. You guys go out there and help other teams. And I think you guys display one of the things that's what First is all about, right? So, me
Thank
and
you.
you had never met each other, so this is the first year that we actually met each other. Um, Fun fact for everyone that's going to watch this. We wanted to play a practice match, and you said, "Can we go center?" Or can you go right? Or no, was it center or right? I can't remember.
Could you go left because we were working on our right out at the
Right.
time?
And you said, "Didn't you just do right?" And I had to calm myself, but I did apologize if I came off like a
You,
butthead.
you
Um,
did. You didn't come off like a butthead by any
yeah,
means. It was just one of
thank
those
you.
things where I wanted to ask, and you were really gracious in letting us use that spot,
But
which definitely helped us work and succeed on our three-piece auto for the weekend.
yeah. Well, I'm glad to help you guys in multiple ways, but I always channel when I feel the flustered of as a drive coach, and I'm sure you do too. I think of what will Woody Flowers do, and then calm myself and gracious professionalism, and then I wanted to make sure after the fact that I didn't come off harshly because you never know who's watching around us. And you had
Sure.
kids on your side, and my kids were right there. And I just want to make sure everything was good. I think that's, as mentors, that's what we're supposed to do, especially at drive coaches, because we're always constantly the roller coaster of up and down, the things. But I wanted to give you a shout out. I watched you because I was in the pit next to you. So I watched how you did it. I always like to learn from other drive coaches. You were very well prepared. You had multiple strategies, even you know, just watching everything you do. How did you do that? How did you tell me a little bit about you, Anthony?
Yeah, for sure. Well, so this I will date myself. So this is my 10th year mentoring in
Okay.
FRC.
Okay.
It's my third year on Enigma. Previously, before this, I was on Team 4004 in Muskegon, the Mars Rovers.
Okay.
And so a lot of it gets into a lot of what we build on the back end of our strategy comes
Okay.
from exceeding amounts of scouting data that our scouting team is able to put together. A couple of individuals, specifically one of our students, Connor, one of our students, Will, and one of our mentors, who is Matt's wife, Anne Marie. They do an exemplary job of collecting data for us. And what we actually do is, which is a little different than I've seen from other teams, is we will collect our data, and then the secondary nature we will do to that is we'll actually scrub through it. So while we have people in the stands that are actually scouting data and taking live metrics on the field, we have a whole team of people, which, if I'm being honest, a lot of it is Matt's wife. She's awesome at this. She actually goes through and rewatches every single match, because what we do is we will take all the data from the API that's pushed by First. We'll check it against the data that we've recorded. If there's anything out of ordinary at all, we flag the data, we rewatch the match, rescore the entire match, and then push data to me to view. So by the time it gets to me, I know that data I'm looking at is nearly 100% accurate all the time. So from there, we do a great job with visualizing that through Tableau. We've been using that for a number of years now, and it's really easy to just quickly glance at, in this case, counts for teams that they're putting up, score potential, and then breakdown of match by match what the actual throughput could be of the entire alliance. So from there, it's a lot of understanding what the highs and lows of our team could be, trying to pull out the best out of everyone as possible. So if I find two teams, for instance, where everyone has their forte and their best result, and that's what we're trying to pull out of them. For instance, the team that we picked, 10654 for Elens, the biggest thing we saw out of them was we played a match with them on the Friday of qualifications, and the biggest thing that they kept pushing to us is they just want to learn from us. They want to get a better idea of what they could do to do better. And for me, that was exemplary of I want to pull that out of them. They kept wanting to work, and they're asking questions of how can we do better at cycling the L1? How can we do better for playing defense? And those kind of questions really, I think, exemplify an alliance. So the first thing I always am trying to ask people when we're joining and starting a match is what do you work best at? I don't want to hear necessarily, numbers or things like that, but like, what do you feel comfortable doing? Because when you're comfortable, you're going to do it the best, you're going to excel the best. I think that really showed out in our qualification match with Tech Fikes. Before the match, we didn't really strategize at all. We know the Tech Fikes really well. A lot of group of people. We practice with them pretty often at Grand Valley on their practice field. And the mentors, we know each other pretty well. One of their mentors, Corey, Fine, and myself, we go back to high school of being students in FRC. So
Oh,
we're
okay.
really relatable and we know each other pretty well. So it's just having fun out there on the field. And whatever I can do to help a team do that, I know we're going to do well.
Well, that's awesome stuff, and I hope people really take notes of what you said. But like, I think people can learn, right? I've met a lot of new drive coaches this year, and I in the last podcast brought it up because we were picked by someone that was very comfortable with us because they were a new drive team, and the reason they picked us at the time they did at St. Joe's was because we just kind of gelled together right
Mhm.
in just one match. And that's kind of rare actually when you gel like that, right?
Absolutely.
But you and Tech Vikes have some history, and we've have
We
some
do.
history together because not this year, the past year, you got your guys' Robo Reel went down, and we were playing with Dislocators, us and the Demons, 858, and we went down to a rubber match. And we lost by two. Well, actually, we lost by one. We would have to score two. And I always say, maybe we should have got the last note before the hang. Maybe we should have got the last note before the hang. But I can't second guess myself. Do you second guess yourself? Do you look at what you've done as a drive coach and say, hey, maybe I could have done better here. Maybe I could have done
I,
better there.
absolutely. So what we actually do is after every match, we'll wait and we'll try to get either we'll have someone in the stands videotaping the match, or we'll wait for First to push it through to TBA, and we'll actually go through while our pit crew is working on the robot. If there's anything wrong with it, we'll leave, we'll go and we'll review the match. And the biggest thing I'll always ask my students is, what did you think I did wrong? I'm not, I don't want to know what they think I did right, because
Yeah.
I'm always
Yeah.
thinking whatever I'm doing is wrong.
Yep.
And it's a lot of it's communication, understanding, the little things. One student might view something I say differently than the other, but I need all of us working as one concise alliance together, even on our own team, let alone working with two other teams. So it's 100% that, leaving Friday, coming home, rewatching all of our matches, thinking through in my head, what were the calls I made? Did it make sense? There are things I could have done better. But also, on my iPad, I'm recording everything that we planned ahead of the match. And then I'll review that afterwards of, did this make sense? Was this the best strategy? And things like that to really help me talk to the kids better, to make sure we're doing better as a team, but also so that whatever I'm saying makes more sense to the teams that I'm not familiar with.
Right.
So absolutely, I'm always second guessing myself in the matter of not necessarily always the decisions I make, but the way that I've communicated them to others.
Okay. I do the same thing you do, and I missed a match and it was totally on me. Um that we were with one of the RoboDog teams. Or no, it wasn't. It was 2771. And the strategy was they were going to de-algify as we start scoring, because we were pretty fast scorers, so we're scoring, scoring,
Mm-hmm.
scoring. And I actually had the team scoring on nodes where there was still an algae ball underneath it, because thinking that 277 was going to go and scrape all that stuff out. So at the end of the match, the driver came up to me from 2771 and said, those points didn't count and we lost by like 5. And I again had to hold it in. And I was like, man, I really should have had my team just go de-algify that and just caught that aspect. And then I went and apologized to 2771 for missing that thing, and they said we wouldn't have won anyways. I said it doesn't matter. It's, as a drive coach, I want to make sure I do what's best for the alliance, because and I talked to my kids. I said, that one's on me, guys. I screwed up. It's no one's perfect in this, just to show them the humility that no matter if you're an adult doing it, if you're a student behind the glass, driving, because there's a lot of pressure on them, that everyone could take a breath. And there's a lot of luck when it comes to stuff in
Absolutely.
FRC, right? And I think that the bear hug thing just came in because that last match, and that's the feather in my cap. Although I love the Angels, they're gonna watch us. I love you guys, Twisted Angels, Twisted Devils, but there's camaraderie here because we're neighbors. Um,
Okay.
that you guys got to do what you guys do in Tacoma Banner, or the third banner at this point,
Yep.
right, right. So, what other things can we teach, Anthony, as drive coaches? What can we teach people that are going? I'm going to shift to MSC because we're 2 days away from people traveling. You're preparing. What are you preparing as a drive coach? How are you preparing yourself for Michigan State Championships?
Honestly, it's a matter of, in my seat right now, it's talking with not just myself, but our old drive coach from Enigma and our other drive coach besides him. Neither of them are with us in West Michigan anymore, but it's a lot of back and forth communication of understanding. What do we think is going to happen at FIMS champs? What do we think is going to happen at Worlds? And taking that information and applying it to what we're doing. So tonight, for instance, I think we have a bit of a reputation for it, but we're working on our auto. We're seeing what we can do to make it a little faster. Matt pretty well.
Yes, I do. I work
So I
with
think,
them, so
yep.
yeah, I know.
So he's working with our programming students who have been doing a phenomenal job this season, getting our 3-piece up and running, and we're hoping we're going to see we can make that maybe a larger number,
Okay,
and moving
okay,
into states or at least champs, but also differentiating ourselves. I think the big thing is this game is very dynamic, and understanding what we're doing now here in Michigan, for instance, is very different than what everyone else is doing in the country, let alone the world. So we're not just thinking about champs right now for Michigan. We're also trying to think forward to worlds, and understanding where do we play into that role. We're not a floor pickup coral bot like a lot of these huge teams. What we're doing really well and concise is feeding from the feeder station and are autonomous. And so what can we do to help other alliances that are better than us really succeed and help their strengths grow further by implementing things that we can do. So maybe it's not necessarily scoring a bunch of coral. Maybe it's scoring a bunch of more algae and autonomous. Scoring on different heights of the reef, things of that nature. But for Film Champs itself, I think a lot of our strategy is just going to come down to we're waiting for the divisions to roll out. We're really eager to see who we're playing with. We're really eager to see who we're going to be going against. We have a lot of friends that thankfully were able to make it this year. So we'll be hanging out with them, having a lot of fun, and just, trying to enjoy the best of it.
Right. We got this close to you guys. We missed it by 4 points to go to states. So we're gonna wish you guys luck, uh, and everyone else that's going. But it's amazing to me if you look at the rankings in the state, the teams that were perennial. When you think of states, you say, "Wow, that team didn't make it." I think that this game, like you said, it was so dynamic, and the 6 points. I mean, the six ranking points shows it, right? That
Absolutely.
there were teams that didn't do as well as normally based upon a 4 point system. Now you have a 6 point system, and I think it spreads and it makes things more even. And let's talk about Bbotics, right? Bbotics was at our event. That was a rookie team, but my God, they knocked it out. They knocked it out.
They were amazing.
An
I got to
amazing
play with
team.
them in a quals match. They're awesome people to play with. They're fun people to just talk with.
Yeah.
And they nailed it out of the park. Like, they had an awesome event at Kentwood, and I look forward to seeing more of them for sure.
Yeah, how can you miss them? I mean, literally the marketing of the team and how well prepared and color coordinated. I mean, who doesn't like orange? Like Lightning and all those other teams that love orange. But I mean, just the marketing's down. I could see them going far. But how cool is it to see a 10,000 series team like that? 9,000 series teams were competitive, 8,000 series, sevens. When you think of in the past, doing this 10 years, I started on a 2-digit team and now I'm on a 4-digit team. But I'm saying seeing 10,000 series teams, but let alone being competitive is so
Yeah,
cool.
I think we've, as a program, have been able to allow teams like that where you can just jump in, and there's so many great COTS items on the market, and allowing teams to really be able to, use those and allow that to accelerate what they can learn from, whenever possible. So, like, for instance, like, we're using bearing blocks from that are COTS. We're using swerve drive that's COTS. Anything we can get off the market that allows our design students to specifically focus on smaller details, like our claw, how is the entire elevator going to be rigged, our gearbox and our carriage, things like that. I think it takes a lot of the stress away from students to allow them to raise the floor in this case and be able to learn the details more and be able to go out there with a robot that can be successful. And I think that's an awesome way to help students like get excited and see the robot doing things that is, getting out there and having fun and, succeeding. And they definitely did a stellar job at it.
Yeah. I mean, there were a lot of rookie teams or 2-year teams or even 3-year teams that have swerve. Um, we don't have to beat the swerve versus tank thing to death because go out to Chief Delphi. They have a daily discussion
Yep.
about it. But just the learning path and challenging because learning swerve is not easy. I mean, even driving it, but or navigating it, however you want to call it. But you're right. COTS allows people to be more competitive. It's not just about those top tier teams that from the past, which were 2-digit, 3-digit, or 4-digit, early 4-digit
Mm-hmm.
teams. Now everyone can compete. But there is a cost to it, right? I mean, you have to
For
raise the
sure.
money to get the COTS devices. Then you have to order them on time or before so you can be prepared. So, because
Yeah.
out of stock's a real thing. I know it true.
we, yeah, we felt it very heavily this year. That's for sure.
So what other things, Anthony, can we prepare for? So let's talk about the meta, right? You're a meta guy. I know you are because you already described it. So what do you think the meta in state championships is going to be? You don't have to tell me your strategy, but what do you think the meta is going to be?
I think we're going to start seeing a lot more algae getting played around. I'll show our friends Tech Bikes. I think they're doing an awesome job of being able to handle both game pieces. I think we're going to see a lot more of that at the state championship. We've been stuck on the west side this whole time. A lot of these east side teams have already been knocking it out of the park, strike zone and things of those caliber teams. And I think we're just going to see more and more of that. And I think, those algae are going to become a game changer.
I agree with you. I totally agree with the whole LG. I think us as in Michigan are putting us all together because that's how people outside of Michigan treat us, right? You
For
guys are
sure.
fam. But there's many more teams that are playing with LG. However, I think the hanging is going to be more important now. In at the events that I've been to, you don't have a lot of consistent hanging. I think
Yeah.
that's might be one thing that changes at Michigan State Championships, and hopefully everyone is prepping for that, right? Because
Hmm.
you don't want to be the team that doesn't get picked on a field
For
based
sure.
upon that. Um, I've actually felt the hurt of that before.
I same here. I've been there.
Yeah, and that stinks. I mean, you make it to states and then you don't get picked, but this is where you live and learn, right? You make states next year
Absolutely.
and you say, we have to do everything. That's where you have to do everything as Michigan State Championships because it's that competitive. So you've been to Worlds, I know that. So do
Mhm.
you, and this is not a bash on Worlds because I don't want to get flamed or have, people reach out to me. They often do anyways. But do you see Michigan State Championships as more competitive than World Championships?
I think it depends on what type of field you play on.
Okay.
I think a lot of the teams that unfortunately uh, won't make it to Worlds, I think would do a stellar job playing on a Worlds field. Um, when we had the two champs, I think it allowed some of that more access for some of those teams. And now it gets very interesting of you get to have a larger difference, in my opinion, of the floor versus the ceiling, depending on, we've met a lot of great friends in California. They're awesome people to play with. Um, but man, do they know how to build robots. And it is fun to watch them fly by. That's for sure. Um,
Is that a
I
reference to a certain cheesy team?
Not only them, but like we got to hang out with Citrus Circuits last year quite a
Oh,
bit on our
nice.
division,
Nice.
and we went to Einstein with Greybots, so we've got to meet a lot of really cool people and see some really cool robots. And I like to, I think Film Champs is definitely a different caliber. I'm definitely not necessarily going to say, dating myself a little bit of the world's week zero aspects, but I think it is a very different game, and I think this year is going to be different more so in the sense of uh, Michigan. I think is playing a little differently. When I've talked to a lot of my friends on other teams, and I think Worlds will be very different, both from the caliber of the robots you're going to see,
Mhm.
but also the way people are playing the game.
Okay. So, do you think that a team or all the Michigan teams that come out of FIM and go play at world level are at a disadvantage?
I don't necessarily think a disadvantage. I think there's a lot more teams from other areas
Mhm.
that are going to potentially have an easier way of getting to the top than the Michigan teams.
Okay.
But knowing our Finn people here, people are going to find a way. We, we,
We
we
will
are going to,
always find a way.
yeah, there will definitely be some Finn captains on those fields.
Yeah.
Uh, and there's going to be a lot. There's going to be some Finn robots on Einstein, of course, one way or another. Uh, we'll just have to find our place in the pack.
Well, Anthony, I before you go, because we're gonna cut it short because you got to prep. I know there are things, and I graciously thank you for
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 sure.
coming on board tonight on a Monday, right before trying to get out at the door so you can get to FIM champs. Um, but before you go, I want you to predict what the top score
Oh
at
wow.
FIM champs will be and without penalties, just without penalties, and what the top score at Worlds is going to be.
Well, I mean, Tech Flex and us already put up 230, so I think Finn champs are usually going to see 250 plus.
Okay.
Um, and at champs, I think we're going to definitely see 280, 290.
You think it's three? Can you hit a three?
I'm not sure yet. Some of these teams are getting close. I think it's going to really depend on who are you getting as those third and fourth pick robots. There are going to be
Okay.
some great third and fourth pick robots at champs. It's just a matter of how does the recipe come together.
Oh, I do. You just brought up something. I do have one last question for you.
Oh, okay.
Should we, if there's changes that first looks at, right? I've always thought that teams shouldn't go home, especially at districts, right? Some teams don't get to have a second go, right? They're still learning, they're still processing, right? Do you think at the district level that you would agree with me that maybe we should always have a backup robot as part of our picking process?
I'm not sure. I think one of the great way that a lot of the events where you have to pick that backup robot,
Mhm.
it's more of a depth in the sense of there's just more teams. I think when you have an event where there's only 40 teams, it becomes a little more difficult to really understand, who makes the most sense to fit with you. I think it
Okay.
also creates some headache in the sense of, you know, a team that necessarily is going to potentially sit around. And I know that can become troublesome at sometimes. It just doesn't feel necessarily fun. I think there's a place for it, but I guess I just don't know what it would be.
The only reason I say that because I was at St. Joe's, Tech Bike's right at St. Joe's, the other yellow robot that's right down here, two-time. He'll know who I'm talking about.
I know
You
them
know
pretty
who I'm
well.
talking about. The Tech Bikes really got hurt, not got hurt. They had a technical difficulty, and that's where I never want to see 2 and 3. I always want to see 3 on 3 to be, always someone there. And I did at our event the teams that didn't get picked, right? I went to them and say, "Don't leave, guys. Don't leave. Don't leave. You've built this. This is the end of the season. Stick around because you never know when you guys are gonna get a number called, right?"
Sure.
And they can get a blue banner that way. They're you never know what's gonna happen at first, and always they have that ability to watch each other. Like if you're gonna get an award, even if you're in the running for award and everyone is, stick around, stick
Yeah,
around because I never want to be the team that gets an award and I'm not there to get it.
for
So,
sure.
because the kids miss out. So I wanted to ask you, thank you for entertaining me with your answer. I think
For
you,
sure.
I think you have a future in politics, Anthony.
I definitely do not think so whatsoever. I'll stick to my lane of engineering and teaching kids and call
Okay,
it at that.
you're good at that. We'll stick at that.
Yeah.
I like your answers. I like your answers. So,
It helps when you come from a grandfather that was a salesman, and the first thing he did to your childhood was teach you how to speak to people.
yes, it's a rare thing nowadays, and I think that I try to teach that to our kids too.
Absolutely.
I'm longer in the tooth than you are, um, but I tried to teach them those soft skills, especially in our environments, because it's kind of heated sometimes. Calm down and talk to someone. Everyone's the same. We're all here together. Gracious professionalism. I think that's one thing that
Mhm.
first really helps with the kids. So
Absolutely. I have no question in my mind that, in my opinion, one of my favorite things that First does really well at is getting kids to have to get out of their comfort zone and speak to judges.
yes,
Uh, we've done a really good job of, for some of our new team members this year, forcing them to be in front of the judges. If you're around the pit and there's judges, I don't
you're
care where
talking to
you're
them.
hiding, you're getting shoved in front of them, and you're gonna say
Yeah,
something.
because they don't want to talk to us. That's not where they're there. They're here to
Yeah,
talk to you. So get ready. Okay, now I'm going to let you go, Anthony. I promise. So, again,
for sure.
as you sign out, thank you again. As you sign out, tell us who you are, what team you're with, and then how we can follow the team.
Yeah, for sure. I'm Anthony. I'm the drive coach of 2075 Enigma Robotics. You can follow us on social medias, Instagram, YouTube, and our website. I think we're pretty much all Enigma Robotics 2075, if I remember correctly. A couple of them are West Catholic Robotics. But yeah, we'll be around. If you're at Film Champs, come say hi to us. We'll have some buttons.
All right. Good luck to Team Enigma. Good luck to you, Anthony, and stay frosty, okay?
Sounds great.